Hello everyone, Ted Simpson here, and here we are. Look at this monster canvas we're using today. And broke out the old Soulfly hat from the early 90s, mid-90s, something like that. Back when I went to concerts. There's my old hat. Alright, so an 18 by 24 canvas today. 18 by 24, we're going full bob. And we got it set up in the landscape style. And something here that Bob didn't often show you, but I often do, is we're going to put on our liquid white. Okay. Oh, so break out my big old 2-inch brush here. And I'm just going to work this right into the fabric. I have to say here, I am uploading this video just a little bit earlier here today because I bet if you watch this video right off the bat, you can go to abc12.com. It's a TV station out of Flint, Michigan, and I'm going to be on there all morning long painting a picture not unlike this one. Might be a little bit boring for you to see it twice, but I tell you what, you feel free to stop this video, watch me live, and I'm just going to be like painting throughout the morning, so you'll only see snippets of this, but if you want to see the full painting, well, just keep watching. Very thin coat, working it right across here. I thought I would go with a classic Bob scene here to show the television audience a standard Bob scene that we likes to do. So we're working this in back and forth, really spreading this liquid white all the way across the canvas. Now you take your time with this, grind it in, blend it, smooth it away. If this gets a little boring, feel free to click ahead another 45 seconds or so. But I like to turn my head to the side, let the light reflect off of it, so I can see what's nice and shiny wet, and what still needs to be scrubbed in. Boy, it's been a while since I've done a big canvas. A little while anyway. Long smoothing strokes. Making sure I get that completely covered. Now I'll do my little fingertip test. Tap, 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 tap. Just see a light fingerprint there. You know you got the right amount. Alright, now as a special request from one of you commenters, you know who you are, I'm going to show you my whole palette here. Titanium white, alizarin crimson, phthalo blue, Prussian blue, midnight black, Van Dyke brown, little dark sienna, sap green, cadmium yellow, yellow ochre. Maybe I'll throw on another color that I forgot to do. I really thought I had this prepared here. Gotta go with a little bit of Indian yellow too, alright? So, let's come up here, tap into this phthalo blue, nice and firm, and let's put in our sky. Big old sky. Who knows how much of this we'll really see. But we always do a little bit more than we need, just so we can pick and choose what to cover up. If we only do that much, well, we're forced to put the mountain like right over there, right? But if I bring this sky down, now we have options. Just sort of swirl, whirl, crisscross, X strokes, something like that. Now if you want it a little bolder, you just do that step again. Bash some paint into the brush. Try to start up here at the top so it remains a little darker. Up, up, up. And then as it picks up that liquid white, it starts to lighten as we work our way down to the horizon. Okay, not worried too much about blending at this point. Just trying to get some color off there. Now we are gonna have some water in our scene. Plenty of color here. I'm gonna mix it up. I'm gonna add just a touch of phthalo green to my I can't talk. Should I start over? Brush. I did it again. Phthalo blue. Sap green. Pulling from the outside in. I don't have as much liquid white down here, I see. You can see how it looks a little dry. It just takes a little more force to work it in there. A little bit more of the phthalo blue. Just a hint of the sap. Pulling from the outside in. Trying to keep those strokes relatively flat. Maybe we'll have a little sunlight zinging here, so don't cover up all the middle. And I'm going to clean my brush super quick here. Got my paint thinner. Squeegeeing it out. Where's my beater bucket? It's all the way over here. Wouldn't be a video if I was like fully prepared, right? Really clean off that paint thinner. Now, starting from the middle and working up, basically, softening and smoothing. The more you go over it, the more you'll move color. The harder you push, you'll move color from those darker areas into the lighter areas, and it starts to all blend together. Try not to overwork it. Keep a little variation. And to mix it up a little bit more, let me get that green out of my way. Don't want to put the green in the sky today. I'm going to tease down a little bit of that Prussian blue and load it into my brush the same way I did the phthalo. Just want a little bit deeper, richer color here in the corners. So I'm putting it on and blending it out, sort of out and down. Look at that. Yeah, just adds a little something there. A little bit here. Let's go ahead and do the other corner. Just adds a little interest, helps draw the eye into the center of the painting as we get going. You can even have some little variation up in here too. You can blend that as soft and as smooth as you like. I like that. Now, just going to wipe off the excess paint out of my brush, and then I can pull across and work my way down, pulling some of that color across the middle. Working my way down. green is a little bit streaky right there. There we go. Look at that. Horizon a little bit below center there. A little different from what Bob did. His horizon was above center, but it don't matter so much. Okay, let us play around here. Get my fan brush here and plenty of titanium white. And let's add some clouds, maybe a big old floaty cloud. Something like that. Now, something I tell my students is try not to overwork this. Get that color out nice and bright, and try to leave it a be. Leave it a be, I said. Leave it be. I'm going to take a little 1-inch brush. It's just the one that my hand grabbed first here. And let's just soften, destroy that bottom edge, create a little bit of a blend in there. Blend it down. Even a little bit here in the middle of the cloud is okay. Try to avoid destroying the top edge. There we go. Using a very light lifting stroke. Barely touch. Give it that little fluff, a little hypnotize. Barely touch. We got some lazy old clouds here. They're super fluffy, but they're just hanging out. They're really not moving too much in the sky today. Maybe we got another one coming down. Getting some out there. Oh, this is a bigger, fluffier cloud. A little bit more paint. There it goes. Just making an interesting shape. Ooh, I like that. Sometimes it has these little forks coming off of it. I think of these as forks, but you call them what you like. Alright, go back to that 1-inch brush. And we'll just blend it down here and there, focusing mainly on the bottom edge, blending that down into the sky. That allows us to see all that fluffy stuff up here at the top. If you sit there and grind at it, then nothing looks textured. There's no fluffiness. So, go over it just enough to blur it, just enough to soften it. And let the rest be. I like that. That's a nice cloud. So we got some floaters, we got some little hooky things. Let's move on. I am just moving on here today. Seeing about getting this painting done in a reasonable time. I'm going to take a little bit of the alizarin crimson, nice bit of Prussian blue, and a nice hunk of the midnight black. What do I get? Kind of a very dark color here. Very dark purple. Cut off my roll of paint, and let's make a mountain here. It's maybe somewhere over here, just a little bit off center. Just pressing that paint right into the fabric. See that? Sometimes when I make these, I don't get the point exactly the way I like it right off the bat. So you can adjust it, figure out what works here. we're just going to be scraping the majority of it off anyway. So get it on there dark. Maybe we'll have a little extra lump there. Meanders off to the right. Maybe this little lump is a bit bigger on that side. Hey, look at that. I can actually just draw it out there. Just push. Now I'm just removing the excess paint, any of that extra dark stuff. It's almost like a bead of color up there on the edge, so just going to try to knock that right out. There we go. Almost threw that paint away. We could use it. It's got a little white in it, but I can use that a little later. Alright. Let me clean out. Well, let me clean out both brushes. I got to get that paint out of the 1-inch brush. And let's get the paint out of the 2-inch brush now. Nice. But most importantly, and I'm even going to put down my palette there, get that clean paper towel and really get off that paint thinner. Don't want to thin down the paint on accident there. So here we go. Press in and then slide that paint. Pushing in, pulling down and away, and that paint that I pick up, look how it just fills in the bottom here. Same thing off to the left. Trying to create the illusion of a three-dimensional object here. So some of this goes one direction, some of it goes the other direction. Already we can see kind of where our highlights and our shadows are going to be. And if you don't like it, you can change it. If this is a little too light, I'm going to show you here. Sometimes we put this on, don't have enough color here. Nothing wrong with putting a little more on right there. Just pushing it down and out. There we go. So we're not really committed at this point what's going to be highlight, what's going to be shadow, but doing these strokes, I like to plan it out a little bit, just a little bit, but it always changes. Boy, that ended up being a lot bigger than I thought it would be. That's okay. Sometimes the mountains grow on you, don't they? That's all right. So, I'm going to add the speckiest amount here, the tiniest amount of crimson to my white. Ooh, that's a lot. I don't know if we'll really see that. Even that one might be a little too much. So I'm going to just pull a little more white through it. There we go. Just to have it just be slightly off white. Cut off a little roll of paint here. Now holding that knife as gentle as possible. Gentle as possible. Just let that paint float off. Can't stress enough here how light. Just want that paint to float. Now here you can see, didn't really have enough to get it all. So what I like to do is just find that angle and just continue where you left off. And as we do here, I scrape up that color and just relay it out. Get that clean roll of paint every time. Nothing wrong with stopping, getting a new roll. Adding a little more. Wiping the knife. Adding a little more. Just letting that knife barely skim across. Sometimes I use the short edge of the knife. See these little spots right here? Might have a little bit of highlight. Something like that. Maybe even a touch right there. Okay, let's take a nice little lump of the white. And how about Prussian blue today? I'm feeling Prussian blue today. And let's make a marbly blue color here. Maybe even a touch of the background color to dull it down. Let's see if that works. I think it could. Maybe even a touch of the phthalo. Really just mixing it up today, whatever feels good. Now, I gotta sneak a little bit in here. Maybe just use this here. Bring that out a little bit. This one here. Light touch. Just doing these little pathways down and out. Let me take a step back. Let's see what we're doing here. Yeah, okay. Not sure what that noise was, but I see here, missed a little spot there. Coming right on down. Now, after cleaning my knife, coming back to my highlight color, scraping a nice roll here. Let's bring this out a little bit. Create this little ridge here. I might have jumped ahead of myself. Forgot this little shadow right here. Sneaking that right in between the two peaks, right in between the highlights. And then when you add a new peak, don't forget to come up and give that new peak its own little shadow there. Now look at that little happy accident. Left that little spot bare, so I come in there and add a little shadow here and there. Add a little shadow. Any of these little spots here, you want to sneak in a little. Look at that lovely mountain. Just want to add something here. Just want to extend this out a little bit. If there's any spots that are bugging you, might as well just throw a little more on. If we don't like it, we can cover it up. Okay. I tell you what, maybe we can add another whole peak here. He's a little lower on the scene. Throw that in real quick. Come up here with our shadow. Add in a little indication of the other side of this peak. There. I like it. There we go. Beautiful. Sometimes I gotta stop and open up my paper towel here. Why not just, I don't want to waste the whole thing, only used a quarter of it. So now we can clean our knife a little easier. Let's come in here and let's just diffuse the bottom here. Create an indication of some mist. You lightly tap it. Then you sweep up just to take out those tap marks. Create a little bit of blur. I like to hold my hand up here. If I see a little blur above my fingers, it's probably okay to move on. I don't do a lot of tapping on the easel, just once in a while, just to get off some of that excess color. This one here. Watch it, watch how I actually pick up a little bit of paint and tap it across. Can't forget about the shadow here. Look how we can actually extend some of this just by tapping it, picking up a little color and moving it a little further out. Okay. Now here at the very bottom, some light crisscross strokes I'm barely touching. Just to blur everything out, make it look like that whole mountain is floating out there. Oh, you could just fiddle with that forever, huh? All this out here. One of the coolest things, I remember watching this as a kid. It's like, why didn't he go all the way out there? What's going on there? It just looks blank. Well, you know, that's where the big monster trees go. So I don't have to worry about it too much. I know I want to worry about it. I just did it. Try not to worry. Try not to care. All right, let's see what we got here. Moving on. We've got our mountain mix color here. That Prussian blue, a touch of the black, crimson. Let's add a little bit of brown and just a touch of green. You notice how I used a little bit of that shadow color. Has some white in it. Let's add a little more here. I can already tell I put out a ton of white. Maybe not enough. Ooh, look at that kind of a grayish color. Touch more of the blue. Something like that. The lighter it is, the further away it's going to look. Even a little more white. Takes a lot of white to adding to a dark color. Always takes more white than you think. There we go. So, we're going to try something I haven't done in a while, right off of how Bob did it here. Loading plenty of color, giving it a little wiggle and a jiggle as I pull down. Look at that sharp wedge shape on our brush. And just pulling, and the corner of that brush does the work for you. Look at that. We're jumping right ahead here into a big old footy hill. Maybe a little taller, maybe a little shorter. Maybe this one can be just a little longer. Pulling down. There we go. Now, coming back here with our mostly clean 2-inch brush, just going to destroy the bottom here. Let it pick up that liquid white that we started out with. And as I tap my way down, right along the bottom here, it destroys that, gives it a little misty look. Over here I'm holding it a little flatter. Up here I kind of turn my brush a little taller. Down at the bottom I don't want to get a bunch of color down there, so I just use different parts of the brush here to figure out what works. Let's see what we got. Okay. I picked up a little too much there and deposited some color, so just keep tapping it and those marks will go away. Lightly lift up, keep that looking nice and vertical. And something we can do here is, if it's not misty enough for your taste, I'm going to come in here with just a little bit of that titanium white, really destroy it here on the palette. I don't want to pick up too much paint. And then tap it at the bottom here. You can always add more here to lighten this up, mystify it, get it? Mist it up a little bit. Create that nice fog effect. Let's see how that looks. There we go. Now, I'm going to come in here. I'll tell you what, let's mix up all that dark color that I didn't use right into that pile. Add a touch more brown, black, touch more green. Doing so reduces the ratio of the white, makes everything a little bit darker. Maybe a touch more of the blue, crimson. Oh, this got a little bit more to the green side, which is okay. Find out what color works for you. Yeah, you know what? That color doesn't work for me. I'm going to use just a little bit of that color. I'm really going to add some more black and Prussian blue to it. A little bit more brown. Now just a little bit of that green. There, I like that better. Let me show you what that looks like if I grab a little bit of the white. See that color? Definitely a little less green, a little more gray. And I worked the rest of that white, that testing pile, I just worked it right in there. There we go. So, I'm going to clean off some of that excess paint out of that 1-inch brush. It's not fully clean, but it's pretty clean. And I can just do that again. Pull it through, work some in, back and forth, both sides of the brush. And let's add a big old footy hill on this side. Just figure out what corner you want to use, what shape you're making along the top here. You can see it's a little bit darker in value. That automatically makes it look like it's in front. And bringing this, of course, a little bit lower will also create that effect, overlapping a little bit of the previous step. Maybe even a little bit right here. Let's just bring this one all the way down. I kind of like that effect. There we go. Same thing here. Let's destroy and mist up this second foothill. Just letting the brush do the work. Moving the brush around just to pick up. If you pick up color, you just bring it down and just keep tapping. It'll disappear on you. A little bit sideways. I like it. Okay. Cleaning my fan brush here. Making sure you get all that paint thinner out of it. Now, good, didn't really waste that much paint there. Get that out of our way. Now let's go with just a much darker color. Let's use the rest of that crimson and a bit of blue, a bit of the other blue, the rest of my black, nice hunk of brown and green. Just making color this time, no white. Look at that color. Nice green tone to it. I like that. We're working our way forward here. Loading up our fan brush this time, and now we're going to start seeing some more detail. Tapping down. Mostly interested in this, what this top is doing here. Tapping downward makes kind of a tree-like top, a nice little point to it. Reloading my brush. And if you happen to overlap some of that foothill, more the better. We'll see some of it peeking through there. Picking up some color. go. It's a whole lot of tapping. Just keep it moving. Keep it moving. Filling in these gaps as I go. And trying to bring this down here. I want this to look semi-mirrored. Doesn't have to be an exact copy of what's sticking out the top there. There we go. Something like that. Now, saw some spots here. Just need to fill in a little bit. It's really just kind of smashing the paint that's already there, and it fills in those gaps. Alright, let's come in here and let's just turn, start right in the middle, let's turn some of this into reflection. Pulling it down. And with a light touch. Get our reflections going there. And let's create a nice little separator just with a little bit of white. I actually used a little bit of titanium white. Doesn't matter if you want to use a little liquid white, it flows a little easier. I like having a little more stiffness sometimes in the white here so it doesn't really get away from you. There we go. Cool, kept it almost straight. For the most part. For the most part. Now, oh my goodness gracious, what do we got here? Let's take the rest of our blue, a little bit more brown, maybe even some of that dark sienna and some green. I'm not sure I have enough paint. So let me juice this up a little bit. I got my tube almost empty, a tube of this mountain mix. It's basically those same colors minus the green. Just so I don't have to pull out 4 more tubes of color. Stays nice and dark here for us. This might be a little bit longer video than I normally do. Oh, through the magic of the YouTube panel there, you can always fast forward if I'm getting a little too boring for you. So, Bob did this with like the 2-inch brush. I'm just going to use this big old fan brush. And as we do here, we tap a little line. And let's see, maybe a little taller, a little straighter. I like that. Starting at the top, tapping down, building out a basic shape. Plenty of paint on the brush here. As I'm going down, it's getting a little wider. And I tell you what, that's just going to disappear into some bushes and stuff. We don't really need to go all the way down. Let's give him a little buddy right here. Get that little guy up at the top there. There we go. While we're at it, let's let's do a mega tree. This is just a big old monster here. One of the great things about making the monster tree is that you really force everything a little further back. Because I'm going over the sky, the clouds, now I'm going over the mountain, both foothills, the close-up tree line here, everything and everything. Hopefully filling in those dead spaces. Using lots and lots of paint, just sort of mashing that brush and moving my arm here. And we're just going to come right on down. And let's just make some adjustments here. Just make sure everything's nice and dark. There we go. Now, one way to save paint, just wipe some of that excess off here on your palette. Look at that. Before cleaning your brush, really wipe off all that paint thinner. Now I'm going to use my knife and recover. And hopefully we'll have enough here to do the rest of our background colors. I think we will. We've got a little bit of a, I think a little peninsula here. So let me clean out my 1-inch brush. It's got some white background stuff in there from the foothills. Come in here and pick up some of that color. Plenty of that dark color. It's okay if you cover up some of that, the bottom of those trees. Just puts these right in front, doesn't it? Pushing upward, create that nice leafy effect. All this stuff here, it's just really just dark stuff. Okay. Then, let's just say here with our 2-inch brush, pull straight down on some of it. Tell you what, this tree is a little bit bigger, so let's just tap in a little more color. It doesn't need to be perfect. Just want to make it look like darker tree reflection there. Look at that. Now over on this side, this is just coming all the way down to the bottom of the canvas, just making a basic little bush shape. Moving on, we'll figure out what one's what. Just realized I was kind of tapping at an angle here, so I want to make sure they look like they're kind of growing upwards, so you can always make it a little adjustment. Bend them the right way. All this down here, we don't really care. It just has to be some dark color. Not trying to put it on too thick. Put too much paint there and you can sometimes struggle to get the highlights to show. But if it's just a thin dark layer, we don't have to worry about that. I got a touch of the Van Dyke brown and dark sienna pulled out nice and flat with a little roll of paint, and we'll give this tree a little stalk at the top, and maybe a little indication of a trunk in there. Just a little guy. This one here, well, can't really go up any higher. Just a little touch, touch, touch. Now, with a touch of my white and just dark sienna, we can even add a little highlight to that indication of trunk. Here and there. If you get some on there, that's all that it needs to be. Some of it's going to get covered up with the highlights, so don't have to go crazy here. This one here kind of bugged me. Let me add a little more, make this one a little wider. Because that tree, of course, would be wider at the bottom. That trunk would be bigger at the bottom. All right, now, I still have some of that color there. I tell you what, let's add a little bit of dirt here at the bottom, separating the bushes from the reflections. Get a little bit of dark on there, and that same highlight color, maybe with a touch more white in it, maybe a touch more dark sienna. I tell you what, it's really up to you. And let's just highlight that, just like the snow on the mountains. Graze it off. And then sometimes I come back with just a little bit of pure white, just in a couple of spots. There we go. I'll come back and get a water line in a little bit. Now we got to find our liquid white. Oh, there it is. Get our liquid white, and let's start thinning down some cadmium yellow and making our highlight color for the evergreen trees. A little bit of cad yellow, a little bit of Indian yellow. Come over, thin it down, grab a little bit of sap green, back and forth, loading plenty of color into the brush. Look at this, looks just like the background color, except that now this is a little bit thinner. You get it right on the tips of the bristles. I tap, get some right on up there. So I think this tree here, it's in the background. So we'll do that one first. Change the color a little bit. I thought it could use a little bit more green to it. You can also dull it down with a little bit of your background color if it's a little too bright for your taste. Holding it up there. Still be a little more green. You figure what works for you. So little taps up here at the top just to get some out there. Not sure if you hear my dog barking out there. Something's bugging her. Putting in these little frowners, leaving some dark here and there, focusing a little more on the right side. That's where the sun is shining. Can't forget a couple of these ones on the left. This is all kind of coming down into all the bushes, so we don't even have to go all the way down. Sort of assess, step back a little bit before over highlighting it. Another recommendation is just move on. Move on out and do kind of give all your trees a good pass once over, you know? Once you get kind of obsessed with one tree, you're going to over highlight it. I've done it many a time there, so give yourself a break and keep going. Some of these aren't as bright as the others. That's okay. As you run out of paint, you're picking up a little bit of the dark stuff and it gets a little darker and deeper in shadow. It's a good thing. You can always come back and add a couple more, I get it. Little spots that are catching a little bit more light. Let me show you something here. I'm going to take just the tiniest amount of the liquid white and going back up into the yellow here, brighten up my color a little bit. A little bit brighter. Then what I like to do is I'll put a little highlight, a couple of extra ones that are a little lighter. Kind of gives it that indication that the sun is just striking those just a little brighter. Don't do too many. There we go. All right. Now I'm going to deviate a little bit here, and I'm coming into my yellow and Indian yellow with my black-handled oval brush. I really like this one. Getting lots of paint up there, right up on the tips of the bristles. And we're going to put in some highlights on these bushes here. As we do, we can thin down our paints, change the flavor, as Bob likes to say. Try to only do one little bush at a time. Reload so that paint comes off nice and bright and doesn't mix in with the dark so much. That's what's going to make it stand out. See that? As you need to, just remake your pile. Remake your little working section here. A little more yellow ochre in this mix. This one comes down. Looks like it's overlapping a little bit more. Working my way down to the ground here, this little dirt bit. Reloading often, creating all these separate layers in our scene. Even a little bright yellow one here. There, look at that. Now over here on this side, let's mix it up. This one here, I'm going to come in with a bit of the liquid white on my 1-inch brush, and I'm going to pull through similar to how I did the dark color, pulling down. Look at that texture, lots of paint up here on the tips of the bristles. Very thin, so that gently push up and you make your shape. Working your way one little section at a time. Maybe this one here gets a little bit deeper, darker in shadow here as we move away, so it's a little darker. Working our way down. Just trying to show you different techniques in the same painting here, just to show you the different results you can get. Can't forget, change up the color here as often as you want. Give it a little more variation and difference. Maybe got a little bit of the brown left. Let's come in here and let's add a little path. I kind of cut that one off there, that one little bush. That's fine. That's fine. That's what it's there for, to move when we want it to. There we go. Before I put on the other side there, got to come back with my highlight. A little bit of the white and dark sienna mixture. Skim over it, nice and sideways. And as I did before, maybe even a touch of the white. Just to create a little sunlight zinger. Like those sunlight zingers. Over on this side here, I push a little shape, reloading the brush often here. Every bush gets built by itself. Look at that. Ooh, look at that. Ooh, look at that. Come in here and maybe little scratches right through the paint. Lift some of these bushes and give them some life, give them some height. Even these over here. Scratching right through the paint. Perfect spots for these dark ones here, these dark spots here. Lift those up. Oh yeah, just an hour and 4 minutes. Not so bad. Oh, we forgot, almost forgot. Picking up a little bit of my titanium white, liquid white. It's got a touch of a mountain color, the dark sienna color in it. I'll tell you what, let me use my small knife. It bends a little easier. Create a little water ripple. And if you want to get fancy schmancy, and who doesn't? Boy, that knife is dirty. There we go. Let's take a little bit of that white, maybe add a little water ripple here or there. Give us a sense of movement, or maybe a little fish jumping out. If it's bugging you, you can actually just blend and soften it right away with a clean brush. But look at that. Got a nice little seam there. Just about an hour. Come by here and pick up just a little bit of the liquid white. Maybe a little more. Thin it down with some paint thinner. And we'll sign this bad boy. So as always, I appreciate you guys watching, liking and subscribe and all that good stuff. Apparently I can't make a 2 today. That looks like a 14. I'll have to fix that later. Oh well. So hopefully you'll see me next time. Thanks again, everyone. Take care. See you in the next video.